first thing that I noticed about your profile is that you've been with Microsoft forever. Why?
First of all, thank you very much, Shivku. And it's absolutely a pleasure and a wonderful honor to be here with this really live, vibrant audience. I love your office. And I was just saying, coming here itself gives such nice, curious, passionate, energetic vibes. I hope that's doing it for you too. Now coming back to me here at Microsoft, I've been there for, of course, 22 years, and believe me, like many of you, I might not have thought when I joined that I would do such a long stint. But I think, when we say startup in today's context, it's thinking entrepreneurial, it's pivoting. And when I reflect at what Microsoft has done, when I joined the company, people used to ask me, so what do you do? The product sells by itself, right? So that's how Windows and Office used to sell. From that, when we moved across to the server space, when we moved across to the solutions selling space, then around the 2012 era, when we moved across to cloud, and of course after that Satya came in and brought in the entire cloud first, mobile first. Then it became what we are doing at the edge. Then it became IoT, then it became metaverse. And then, of course, in the last 9 months, I must say this has been the most exciting phase of my life. And I wouldn't trade it for anything else. Because it's been so energizing, exciting, not just about what we are doing at Microsoft, but the way we are able to collaborate with everybody out here in, I think, creating a future, creating a tomorrow. So that's where we are right now. And so lovely to hear that you're also doing this hackathon, because this is a journey in which we are absolutely learning every day. And things we know as of, say, 1 week back, we know even, say, a month back has definitely been rewritten. And a lot of times I keep joking that what Microsoft does, I get to know about it when the announcements are happening because the pace is so quick. So delighted to be here with all of you today.
Thank you so much. Wanted to just pick your thoughts around hackathon itself. Do you all do it in Microsoft? What, according to you, are some of the benefits of people who hack? Why should people bother with hacking?
Actually, here's the thing. Hackathons bring in outside in and the creative side of us. And when we enter a hackathon, we come with an open mind and a spirit. And we've got something akin to that, what we call garage, right? And garage is a space where we ask people to come in and come with just thoughts, but we help proto things with them. Similarly, we have got a Microsoft Technology Center where we just tell customers that visit us, because we envision along with you, come to us with your business problem. Don't come with any kind of a technology first approach. And when you do that, you're thinking about maybe sometimes the most mundane of things which is bugging you, but you're also thinking about possibilities, the big rocks, the big things that you want to do. And possibly you thought that it might never happen. And then you kind of think that, okay, let me throw this challenge. And then let me ideate and think as to how it can come together. I can tell you very simple examples about when you think about, say, oil and gas companies, EPCs, right? When you think about them, the way they are driving digital transformation, solving it for the last mile in a tier 3 city, in a language which is required by them, but having the same level of efficiencies across all of those citizens, and those words could be very different, right? So for them, it's an unsolved but a much needed. So similarly here, I'm sure that people have big dreams, big ideas as to what they might want to do professionally for, say, what you want to do at Exotel, but more importantly, personally also. I mean, I might have a deep problem-solving yearning for India, for global, which I might want to use Exotel as a platform to deliver. And that's what happens when you enter a hackathon. So that's the spirit of innovation. But I must also put a caveat that what happens after the hackathon is also critical and important, because ideas are in abundance, right? So you'll come out today with, say, 25, 30, 40, 50 ideas. Then how do you prioritize? That's a very critical thing for us as well, because at one side, you will want to see that what's the best way to create agility and show some result. But the ones that you're picking up, do they mean the max to you and to your customers? So how do you draw the grid towards seeing where the maximum impact will be with the time to market and the return on opportunity, and then make the right decision? So we help in prioritizing that as well, because that is very key.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm sure you've done some work in this, you have some more ideas, and ideas will be a thing. But getting the right MVPs and probably putting your head and mind behind that will be critically important.
Completely agreed. Okay. Maybe a question on market. So what are you seeing in the market on GenAI? What are people actually buying?
So I'll kind of give you a flavor of things which are happening by verticals, right? And it's predicted that, I mean, by a report in PwC, that this market led by AI will be, say, about 70 billion by 2030. And when you kind of look at what is happening in the GenAI space in Asia, segments which are ahead of the curve include banking, BFSI, healthcare, logistics, and then many others which are infusing it in their products. So when customers are looking at what can drive impact and hence the choice of use cases, the first thing that they're looking at is increase in external customer acquisition or customer loyalty-led interactions, or operational efficiency in anything which is customer-led, because that's where the direct impact comes in. So when you think about, say, banking, when you think about anything to do with retail, so call center operations, or what you're doing for outreach to customers to acquire them, or any kind of a troubleshooting first level of support, these are coming across as, I would say, a very, very easy space where people have gone in and are putting it. Then the second thing that people are looking at is domain-led areas. So in R&D, in supply chain, in core banking operations, fraud and risk management, retail analytics, etc. So identifying and figuring out patterns on data-led signals which are coming. That's coming out pretty heavily. So that's the second one. And the third, I must say, where people are finding immediate and high levels of impacts is for the internal organization itself, for what you're doing towards enhancing, increasing your own productivity. And in that context, I mean, as you might know, we've got a way that we've infused everything in our family of products by what we call co-pilots, right? And so co-pilots are there for everything, including the Microsoft 365 platform, which is, say, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Teams, etc. It's there in GitHub, or anything related to developer productivity, sales, co-pilot. We've got more than 15 co-pilots, but I'll talk about that possibly later. But that's the third part, which is bringing in creativity, a purpose-driven culture in your organization by being a buddy mentor for me, knowing what I want to do, and GenAI comes into.
Now that you're talking about Copilot, maybe we can speak about what is Microsoft's strategy around GenAI. Is this, I think in the 1990s, as a child, I remember this yellow thing called Clipper that used to stitch text to Microsoft Word. Will it be like that, or will it be better than that? What is this Copilot?
Clipper was always very cute, if you remember that. Yeah. I still see a lot of people using that as a wallpaper, and I feel very nostalgic about it. So yeah, so when you think about AI, the transition into GenAI, of course, I mean, it's been there in our world and innovations happening for a very, very long time, especially things which have been happening on the Microsoft research side, right? I'll break it up into two parts. So what are we doing with OpenAI? And then how are we bringing it across into all our products as a first part of it as well? So I'm sure you all must have noticed the entire excitement around the partnership with OpenAI that stands very firm and long term in terms of being the supercomputer that is powering all of what OpenAI does, providing the entire essence of what is kind of being done for it, being the first user as the licensee for what they are creating as an LLM, and bringing that across into our products. Everything that the world is seeing across on ChatGPT and beyond being powered by Azure for it. So that's on one side. And when you kind of extend that, M365, or what you're seeing on Teams, what you're seeing in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, that is our biggest innovation around what you're doing with an application on LLM, which is akin to say what you're seeing in ChatGPT. Right? And scenarios in that include, not sure how many of you have possibly delved into a Teams-led environment, Microsoft Teams. Anybody out here or heard of it? Okay, I see a couple of hands. And since you've not, let me just tell you what you might be missing out on. So I happened to be going for a meeting yesterday. I had a meeting and my flight was getting delayed from Cochin to here. Now I entered the meeting a little late, right? And in a normal course, I would have just entered the meeting, done these 2 pings to people who are attending for the things which have been caught on, and I had certain things to talk about, and asked have these topics been covered, etc. But I just realized that there was a co-pilot which was already involved. I just saw the meeting notes, and I asked if there were any reference for me. I asked what are the topics which have been covered. In less than a minute, I was up on what has been covered for the 15 minutes that I missed. So that's the efficiency and productivity. And how many people here would be always doubly, triply booked for meetings? And earlier we would have had this huge FOMO of what we are missing out. But right now, frankly, instead of listening to the video on a 2x, 2.5x, 3x mode, you just run the co-pilot and ask for the summary of the meeting. And what are the action points? It will tell you by yourself, your team, what was the action plan, what needs to be carried out. But most importantly, say I was coming to this fireside conversation with you. And one of the things I really wanted to know was, what are we doing in engaging with you? What's the hackathon all about? What is the set of things that you all have been looking at? So in, say, Teams, there's a business chat, and I just put a query asking, please let me know the interactions that we've been having with Exotel for the last 3 months. What are the topical things which are being discussed? Any escalations or open-ended asks which are there? And it gave me a brilliant summary, including a deck which had been prepared for our own internal conversation. So what happens there is that it takes away any kind of a human lack of attention or inability to synthesize it, and it does it in a very crisp manner. So that's one on the productivity side. There are many other use cases in terms of how you can literally increase your creativity by having a buddy co-pilot, and with things such as a meta prompt, it will know your persona so that my creative writing might be different from yours. I'm not good at it, but I'm sure you might trump absolutely on that one. But I can look as intelligent as somebody else if I ask the right question, even on a creative thing that I'm putting across that. Now coming across to GitHub Copilot, the overall studies that we've done shows across about a 5% increment in productivity gains, which are coming across, deployed across more than 35,000 organizations by 1 million plus developers. So those levels of productivity gains are immense. The other part that I feel very excited about is even Sales Copilot, because at the end of the day, whatever you're producing as a research to what is going as a product, the entire dream is to ensure that that is articulated in the manner in which it was created, right? So when a seller is kind of putting that across, how do you ensure that that ethos is taken across? Any kind of a upgrade, update, cross-sell, etc., it's taken across with that level of emotion. And Sales Copilot does that towards putting the nudges, putting the right level of articulation in a very, very immersive manner. So in a way, if you ask me, I mean, our entire strategy is towards bringing in co-pilots in everything that we do. And one of the things and themes that we believe in, that when this entire journey started, first everything was by a question, right? I can go to, say, a Bing chat and ask a question and I'll get a response, right? So that was one level of intelligence. So after that, the question became intelligent. You're asking questions, but you're getting contextual responses, right? So that became the next level of AI. And when generative AI came in, you were able to bring in conversation because you're conversing and getting the answer. And the last part which is happening now is the agent, basically. So you have a person who knows who I am as a persona. So the conversation with me will be different for the conversation for you. So we moved in a world from, I would say, a question to a conversation, to an intelligence, to a conversation, to an agent, and that's it.
So basically, in the future, we'll be able to see a personalized GPT, like a personal assistant that will know who I am and then basically help me.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we think it will be. Like I've got a personal assistant guiding me for everything that I do at work and carries that across to my personal life as well and keeps my persona very fluid. And that's happening in some form and shape. When you talk about the multimodal way that things are evolving, the avatars which are getting created, and of course, each of us will have our own persona-driven avatar, which is kind of understanding and contextually thinking what we are doing.
Wonderful. I want to stop here and see if either Gurgaon or Bangalore, if you guys have any questions. Feel free to interrupt me. Maybe last couple of questions. Tell us a little bit about so one of the changes that I'm driving in Exotel now is to be able to move from a mid-market-ish type motion to a large enterprise motion. Almost all of us are very good with mid-market, but we're all kind of learning how to sell to large enterprises. What would be the top 2-3 points that you think you'd like to leave with us while we go through this transformation?
Okay. We've been doing the enterprise way of leading businesses for a very long period of time, right? And that space has also evolved. Because when information was lesser, it was a relationship-led way that sales used to happen. Now information is ubiquitous. When you'll be meeting with your customer, the customer, he or she will be knowing as much as you do. So the first thing to remember in an enterprise business is that how can I become the trusted advisor of the customer? How can I be a challenger? How can I be a coach? Because that's the value add that you as a person will be bringing across. And for anybody to gain that credibility in the enterprise space, two things are very critical. One is the highest levels of tech intensity, as we call it. And the second is always, in a layman's word, wearing the customer's shoes, but always being very contextual for the customer. So when you sell your application to, say, Microsoft versus a Vodafone, the pitch has to be tweaked in an enterprise world for what you're selling to Microsoft to Vodafone. Simply put, when we do a hackathon in Exotel, or when I come across to put across GenAI solutions in Exotel versus what I'll be going and doing to, say, a big basket, very different. The use cases will be very different. And no cookie cutter approach will ever work. It needs to be very curated. It needs to be dealt across in that manner. So that's the first part, trusted advisor, technical intensity, and having that level of domain or contextual awareness. The second part I would say is that enterprise sales is a long game. So the winning strategy always is as to how you build it up for a longer terrain for the first time. Then it always picks up because the first sale is always difficult. And in that longer first sale cycle, how do you have as many facets of your organization exposed to the customer, for the customer to gain confidence that they will be having you behind them when they are looking at anything to build for the future? Because enterprise customers also, in a way, they will have a lot of solutions, but they will always bet on a few who will be there for them in the longer term. How can you build that really trust, not be impatient and get into that entire journey? So these are two critical mindsets, if I may. Of course, I mean, on how to enter the market, it's always kind of aimed towards having good sense of partnerships with the ecosystems, etc., which are already entrenched there, and also ensuring that your product capability, etc., is kind of having a future roadmap built across domain by domain where you're serving, which I'm sure you will get out of that.
Thank you so much for that. No, that I'm completely able to resonate with everything that you just said. Maybe a question on leadership. How do you lead teams? What is your philosophy behind how to get a bunch of people deliver their best?
So, great question. And I think we've also evolved in our leadership style across years. And for a lot of times, we believed that leadership was how the leader leads from the front, right? And that's there even 10 years back. So how you role model. If I come across as a great leader, my team will see me as a great leader, and hence the entire team ethos will be kind of either emulating or going across with the leader in a style which is convincing. That was a model kind of. Then we kind of realized that, we are just creating clothes, all of ourselves, right? We hire people because we want to be a diverse culture, but then we make everybody uncomfortable by saying that, this is how this culture is, which is not the right thing that we wanted to do. So then we said that, we should always be coaches for our kids. So you should be a model as a leader, but you should have a lot of coaching element, because you have to learn and reverse listen from your team to build an equally participative audience, which is kind of with you. And a lot of times, teams are smarter than a few leaders out there. And that culture of coaching was a big thing that actually Satya brought in. That was the era when we said that growth mindset, curiosity, unlearning what you knew, learning the new set of things. So this was very important. And we also said that, instead of doing conversations which were led by, say, asking, we should just ask the right questions in a coaching kind of a atmosphere, because the coachee always has the answer. So you just have to have the person on the other side know their own potential and drives. And the third thing we feel is, as a leader, you should really be emulating is the concept of care. And that in today's time is more important than anything else. Because if you just create that safety net and know that you as a manager, leader, care for your team, I think they will automatically enthused to deliver their best. So model, coach, and care on one side as to how a leader comes across as a persona, and the attributes that we say is a leader should always be creating clarity, generating energy, and delivering success. So how you do these three parts and make them run together. So I might be great in creating clarity, but that's not good enough. I might say my vision statement is to enter, say, 40 enterprise accounts by this partnership, but then I have to generate energy for everybody, and then I have to deliver success by setting up the right set of goals. So those three principles going hand in hand.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you. Last question. Tell us a little bit about My Little Bit. Why do you do it, and what do you plan to achieve?
Okay, thank you for asking that. So for a lot of you who might not be knowing, My Little Bit is a philanthropic foundation I founded in 2010. So I come from a family of educators, and for a very long period of time, my great-grandfather to my mother, father, everybody had been into education. And education had been a great leveler for everybody out there. I was born and brought up in UP and Bihar, that side of the world. And there was, of course, a lot of disparity in the way specifically girl child was brought up. And that was there, that if at a point of time I could do something, I would. So around the 2010 time frame, I was looking after the education vertical business in Microsoft. And there were certain life events which had happened. And I just thought that let me try to do something that I know, which is like teach children how to create PowerPoints, Word, Excel. That was a simple thing. So started with digital literacy labs, co-opted friends, family to set up one lab. And from there on, the journey began. So we, over the years, we now run about 7 digital literacy labs in various government schools. Then we realized that, just setting up the labs was not good enough, because when these girls were teaching the 10th standard, maths and science was the most difficult thing for them. So if they don't study, they were not getting the best of the opportunity. So we started doing special classes for them for just maths and science. And these are all government schools with children whose families earn very little. It's less than a 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs kind of an income on an annual basis kind of a thing. And that happened, but then we realized that even getting going to higher education as well. So then again, I mean, we started doing charity runs and raising money for girls to go in for scholarship. And then we finally realized that after all this, they were not getting the jobs. So then finally, and this was all happening incrementally, because first we thought that we'd start with only one pillar, but that was never good enough. And then finally, now we have also gotten into skilling these girls and ensuring that they go across to various jobs which are taken across by corporates. And the last one round that we did, we trained about 1,800 girls, about 900 in the final year, and about 450 of them got placed and went into education. I will tell you one specific story in that. We had one girl who literally had a burning desire, but very shy in her life. And she wanted to do something in science and STEM. We got her into these special classes. She topped in her school, in the government school at her, in the school, with an 89%. She went across to engineering, and very recently I met her. She's a business analyst in a startup, and she was presenting to an audience with the highest level of confidence, articulation in a most thorough manner. So those are very satisfying moments.
Does anybody have any question here or no?
Hi, Irina. Thanks for coming to Exotel and talking to us. I'm a big fan of what Microsoft and OpenAI are doing together. My question, Irina, is ChatGPT, OpenAI is solving a lot of business problems. What are your thoughts on generative AI on the edge? I know we have an OpenAI app, ChatGPT app, but over and beyond that, being present in all your devices, specifically Android and iPhones, does Microsoft have are you guys thinking about it at this point in time?
Yeah, absolutely. And we are really thinking about how problems on the edge, especially on the OT part in manufacturing, and what we are doing, even say solving large-scale societal problems at large. It might not always be open AI, generative AI, it could be AI itself, right? So things that we're doing on agri, things that we're doing on healthcare. There's one project that we did with one of the NGOs called SEEDS, called Sunny Lives, as to how you can predicate ahead of time natural disasters in areas of India which are prone to climate-led disasters, and ensure that you're taking care of the families by giving them early warning signs. Another one that we did was an agri for the farmers, to ensure that they optimize when they have to sow their seeds and how they kind of take that entire journey cycle. So those are things and these are all things which we're doing on the edge. Yeah.
Very else?
One? Irina, thank you so much for coming here and spending time with all of us. Your stories and thoughts are fascinating and wonderful to hear. So I hope that you will wish all of our hackers good luck with winning, I think, somewhere in the 1 lakh range price. So with that we'll close the conversation.
No, that's a great prize as well. So wishing you all the very, very best, because I'm sure that one is the thrill of the prize, but I think the thrill of doing something innovative, creative trumps it all. So wishing you all the very best, and from a Microsoft standpoint, very, very eager to ensure that we have a deep, engaged and long-term partnership with Exotel. So call us for anything. There's myself and my colleagues who are sitting out here as well. So call us at any point of time, and we'll be happy to engage and be with you in the long range. Thank you.